Oh, hello there. Yeah, well, sort of just, meandering through the week, one might say. Had a very relaxed few days because it's exams and I don't have a lot to do. There's nothing more soporific than giving lessons on exam revision, particularly for English. Dear God, I hate those. Anyway, thought I'd return today to the thorny, or acorny, see, because acorny subject of the National Trust and worries that there are about its new voting system, which will allow the woke communist Trotskyites, trans people to win. Again. Yes, year after year after year. And this time around, they've decided to change the voting system, boo-hoo, the woke leftist Trotskyites, trans, etc., to make sure that old people don't vote. And Charles Moore of the Daily Telegraph, bestie of Boris Johnson et al., was on the case. So he put this up. The National Trust is subverting its democracy. The unjust quick vote system discriminates against elderly members serving a hidden agenda, yes. And as you might expect, Charles is very, very worried that people might vote the wrong way and that this might put off elderly members, which always sounds vaguely sexual to me, but that's probably just me, who will probably do the wrong thing or just not vote at all. So this year, however, for the first time, members will not receive their AGM agenda and voting papers by post unless they ask for them. They must vote online or attend in person. Yes, indeed, you see, it would be very, very wrong if you made it harder for people to vote. Unless, of course, you made it harder for people to vote that you don't like in general elections, whereby basically, if you're old, you can turn up to a voting station and just show them some wrinkles and you can vote. But if you're younger, you need about 17 bits of ID. I know that isn't exactly true, but you do get the idea. Whenever this lot aren't going to win, and they've obviously lost the argument and can't persuade you through GB News or any other news outlet that they own, they will always go for let's change the system. If you think back to the recent mayoral elections where Sadiq Khan nefariously won again, they changed the system from first past the post to from the PR system to first past the post, in the hope that it would give, Susan a better chance of winning, which of course it basically didn't, because people want to vote for Sadiq Khan and they didn't want to vote for Susan Hall, who wasn't a very good candidate. Sorry, Susan, but it's true. And so inevitably, immediately after that, there were all the usual upset people complaining bitterly that certain people who were darker skinned than I am were cheating because, all them postal votes, and suggesting that we shouldn't have postal votes anymore because it's wrong, and the lefty Trotskyite Maoist trans people are, I know it's a completely different argument, same argument, different, you get the idea, because whenever it's convenient, basically, because these people, like I said yesterday, cannot lose. And just to move on with Charles, yes, the charge is made in the name of saving the planet, as identified in a recent Legatum Institute paper by Zeditu, I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce that, the former director of the dissident organisation Restore Trust. Come back to both of those points. It slipped through 3 years ago in a complicated set of material about digital futures. It will obviously act against the interests of older members, of whom the Trust has a great many. Significant numbers of them are not online, or even if you are, will be more at ease with voting by post. Yes, indeed, Legatum Institute. Who they? If you've never heard of them, they are one of those right-wing think tanks who are very, 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 very closely associated with all of that stuff in and around Brexit. Yes, that went down so well, didn't it? Yes. And had very, very close ties to, inevitably, the Koch brother, as he is now, in the USA. So all of that lovely, extreme right-wing stuff from there. And Restore Trust, which, of course, as I pointed out yesterday, isn't quite the grassroots organisation that it claims to be. Anyway, the problem that Restore Trust have is they have this enormous propaganda machine on their side. They're backed by such luminary figures as Nigel Farage, Charles Moore, and all of the usual suspects at Tufton Street, and they can't get a single one of their people to be voted on. So obviously they're going to scream blue murder again this year. I mean, why don't they just get rid of the voting? Yeah. I mean, if you look back to Liz Truss, there was an awful lot of issues around Liz Truss and online voting because the Conservatives decided, in order to basically get the person they wanted, who was Liz Truss, because they didn't want that Rishi Sunak, they wanted Liz Truss, that they were going to design the most hackable online voting system you could possibly imagine, whereby basically anyone could just sign up to it and vote from anywhere in the world. And beautifully, you could send in a postal vote and then change it online if you wanted to, if you changed your mind. I mean, I can't see any way that could be hacked. And, well, yeah, a lot of people did and could, and it was stank to high heaven. Of course it did, because that landed us with the wonderful gem that was Liz Truss as Prime Minister. But this is really typical. I'm a good old-fashioned Democrat. You know what I mean? I'm a good old-fashioned Democrat. If I see a fair election and my side loses, right, I need to try harder next time. I don't suggest that the entire system should be dismantled. I don't set up dubious groups getting dodgy foreign money to try and get my own way, because that isn't democratic, Charles. And it's a little bit unbecoming, I think, of Charles, who's a man of great esteem, dignity, and indeed honour, to suggest that we do such things. But that isn't the world that he lives in. It's not quite the same one as me. Yeah. People often ask me, or not ask me, but people often sort of say to me that they know how I voted during the Brexit referendum. And they're wrong. And I take great delight in telling them how wrong they are. They always make assumptions about it, and they are wrong. But, yeah. And then they accuse me of lying. Why would I bother? Anyway, do have a lovely Wednesday. I've got a busy few days coming up, and then hurrah, it is half term. Hurrah, 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 because I have things to do. There's quite a lot of reading, and there'll be quite a lot of sleeping. Busy, busy, busy. Enjoy.